Hello, it's Umar again, and I'm here to show you how to build a Power BI report for anybody who's new to it or is coming from a different tool, whether it's Qlik or Tableau. So, when you go onto Power BI for the first time, you'll notice it's very different to Tableau. I came from Tableau, so I've just recently discovered Power BI a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still making myself familiar with the workspace. So, to begin with, there are some obvious differences between Power BI and Tableau. The dashboard and report layout is distinctly different. In Tableau, you'd have the calculated fields and the show me sort of area on different sides of the workspace. In Power BI, it's the complete opposite, where you have all your data and visualization options on the right hand side, and then you have the modeling and everything else options on the left hand side in Power BI. One thing to note as well, the order of operations is used in Tableau. Power BI, meanwhile, uses DAX, so there's more scope for data modeling in Power BI than in Tableau, which uses Tableau Prep, but ultimately it's very tool specific, so every tool has its own sort of ways of working, so as long as it gets you to that destination, that's what matters. As well, building charts is also very different between PBI and Tableau. In PBI, as you'll see, you could just click onto one of the icons to create a chart and then build a chart with ease. In Tableau, you can do the same thing by using the Show Me option in the workspace. Now that we've covered all the differences, let's get started with building a report. Here I've just built a report example just now, so it has all the KPI cards ready, it's all laid out, so it's visually nice to sort of read and look at. So why did I do that? Ultimately, I like to build templates so that it speeds up the dashboard creation process. Ultimately, what I want to be doing is solving problems that stakeholders may want me to do. So that might include, why are sales down? How can we get more sales for our products? What's going to get us to that endpoint? And building a dashboard or a report from scratch isn't the best use of time, as any data professional or BI professional will tell you. Firstly, I've already connected to the data source, and to do that, you can go to Get Data. There's also an option where you can model the data in DAX, which is what I have done just now in the table view, or in the model view, actually, where I've just created a date model just to put the orders and returns supersort data set tables all together into one big data model. And I have to say thank you to Juliana Smith for providing me with the tips on how to build a dimension date model in PBI. So that's how you do that, but I will tell you how to do that later on in a future video. Now we'll go back onto the report view. In PBI, you have the option to adjust the canvas settings. So here I've adjusted it to 1400 by 1800. And you can choose the aspect ratio, whether it's 16 by 9 or 4.3. Personally, I like to use custom because I like to build custom dashboards that are easy to read, but also get everything across in PBI in the right way. You can also adjust the canvas background to include an image, but for this case and purposes, I'm going to keep the background white. As you can see, in this template, I've already laid out the KPI cards, and I've also laid out what I want to include in my report. So how do we go about building a chart in PBI? So I'm going to go to add data to the add data to your visual page, and I want to build a simple bar chart. So I will go onto the stack bar chart page. And then I'm going to just adjust that a bit. I'm going to go to orders, and then I'm going to drag sales. And then I'm also going to drag subcategory, if I can get there. I'm just going to swap these things around so we've had that simple bar chart built together. Ultimately, I'd just like to make a bit of formatting changes just to make sure that the chart is easy to read. So we'll just call this sales by subcategory. And then what I'm going to do is remove the... I just need to sort this out as I'm going along. I need just to hide the title. And I'll do the same on the x-axis. And then I want to show values. So yeah, I've just put the data labels on, and what I'm going to do is with the data labels is with the values, I'm going to position them on the outside end or potentially on the inside end. The inside end is probably my preferred option, so I'll do that. With the bars, I will highlight the top performing one, which is copiers, and I'll make that a nice orange. One of the things I always recommend whenever you build any report is just always consider for accessibility in mind. It makes it so much more easier for anybody who's reading your report for the first time to understand what you're trying to visualize in PBI. And then with the background color, I'm going to keep it all the same color. Go to effects, and we're going to... That's probably the wrong one. There we go. Ultimately, we have our first sort of sales by subcategory chart. So what we want to do next is build another bar chart, which is sales by category. So I've just pressed on the bar chart again within the visualization view in PVI. So we're going to put sales in the x-axis and then subcategory and then category into the y-axis. And again, what I'm going to do is remove the title, remove the grid lines. I'm going to add data labels. And I'm going to position them on the inside end. So I'm just going to remove the grid lines right now. I'm going to remove the title from the X and Y axes. And then I'm going to add the data labels to the inside end, and then I will add a orange for technology. And again, I'm just going to change the background. The struggles of using a virtual machine to work on stuff is very, very prominent. And then just lastly, what I want to do is just make some padding changes. So I want mine to be 10s and 5s. That looks a lot cleaner. And then what we want to then do is look at profit by category. So we want to build another bar chart. So I've just selected the bar chart icon, and we are going to put profit onto the x-axis, and then we're going to put category onto the y-axis. Hopefully this should work as it should, which it hasn't, so we'll have to work with what we've got. So I'll just remove the x and the y-axes, so which are there, and I will remove the grid lines. I will adjust the background color to fit with the theme. So I'll make that orange again. And there you have the basic foundation of a Power BI report that looks Tableau-like but has been built in Power BI. So how do you sort of build a slicer or a filter in Power BI? So I just clicked onto the slicer, and I'm now going to build a little slicer in Power BI. And the slicer I want to include is financial year. So I'm just going to drag financial year into the view. I'm going to adjust the slicer settings to a drop down. And then what I want to do with the selection is make it single select. So for 2020, 2013, 2014 financial year. So what I want to do is just adjust the background again. So it's white. There we go. Perfect. And then what we want to do as well is just adjust the padding. So make it 10s and 5s. And then I'm just going to make that 14. And there you have it. You have a very simple Power BI report built in Power BI. We finally got there in the end, so I really appreciate you all watching this video from start to finish. Please like, share and subscribe, and I will be back with another video very soon. Cheerio.